What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 89 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy these podcasts, please follow us and share the link with your friends. If you'd like to support our work with people caught in the snare of addiction, homelessness, or incarceration around the world, click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation of any amount could change a life. When we come back, we'll get into this episode entitled The Puppet. Welcome back to episode 89 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast entitled The Puppet. I want to give a big welcome to my friends in recovery from the US, South Africa, and Australia for their participation in this group. As before, I'll be keeping them anonymous, but I'll be saying their answers as if we're having a group meeting. Okay, guys, here's your questions for today's discussion. Let's imagine that you are ruled by this drug, whatever your drug of choice was. It takes over your mind. It takes over your body. It takes over everything. So I want to ask you, when did you feel like the puppet in your addiction, and who was the puppeteer? Ben, would you like to get us started today? I sure would, David. This is a great thought about being ruled and being like a puppet. And a memory comes to mind. It was with an ex-girlfriend when we were dating. We were invited to a wedding. I was addicted to OxyContin at the time, right before my swan dive into heroin. I remember having a few oxys left, and I kept them hidden just in case I couldn't handle trying to get off the drug. Before the wedding, I made an attempt to go cold turkey. Well, about 16 hours into the attempt at sobriety, depression and physical withdrawal hit me like hell on earth. It was too late, though, because I was sitting in the middle of a bunch of people in the middle of the wedding, and my drugs were at least a 40-minute drive away. I remember anxiety, fear, and just a total depletion of any personality whatsoever. Just all of it leaving my body like it was just oozing out. I was fearful. I wanted to leave, but I had to stay and chat with people because these were family members of my girlfriend at the time. Well, after the wedding, I went home with her and decided to take a hot bath because I was freezing cold with chills. Then I got hot and turned on the cold water. I went back and forth as my bowels released in the bathtub and I began to vomit. Full-blown withdrawal. She came in and, of course, was completely devastated when she saw me. Up to this point, she had no idea I had this bad of a drug habit. I think she knew something was going on, but not to this extent. All I remember was crying and shivering, and she tried to hold me in my own feces. Ugh. I screamed at her to get off me. I rinsed off and I left. I drove 20 minutes away where I had stashed my stash of oxys. I reached in and remember grabbing one of the oxys, crying, "I'll never get out of this." Well, I crushed it, snorted it, and within seconds began to immediately feel relief. Yeah, that's just one memory. There were many, many more times I could point to that were similar to this. But I have to say, in its own weird way, the drug itself was my puppeteer. It had complete power over me. And I'm grateful to be on the other side of the fence today. I wouldn't go back to being a puppet, no matter how much you paid me. Shaw, great start, Ben. Harry, how about you? Well, David, just like Ben, the first time I felt ruled by this drug was when I started to love the feeling. I loved the effect of how it made me feel on the weekends. And then I started feeling and craving for it first thing Monday morning. I woke up with urges, and the first thing I looked for was another hit and started my day in the toilet and then got ready for work. At this point, I know I lost all control to the drug and I needed it every day to start my day. Wow. Thanks, Harry. Charlie, what do you feel about this puppeteer thing? David, during my addiction, I was certainly under the control of some powerful force. The drug I was ruled by, my puppeteer, was alcohol. Alcohol certainly is a drug, in my opinion. Nearly every single time, I didn't want to use any other drug or get into too much mischief until I put that alcohol into my mind and body. Once that alcohol, which I often call the devil's piss, hit my mind, I was a puppet to the devil, Satan himself. Sad thing is, I didn't even know it at that time. I felt under control when I wanted to do right by my family by not drinking at certain gatherings, yet still got drunk and was wild, but felt like I was under control. Well, it really hit home when I woke up one morning and had threatened some kids and disappointed my daughter. I knew I had to stop. For 8 unbelievable years, I tried, David. I'd often find myself at the liquor store, not wanting to be there. I'd be holding on to the cash tightly as the cashier was trying to take it out of my hand, but I didn't want to buy it. But then my fingers let go of the money, and I did. And I'd go home and sit and look at the bottle for like an hour, fighting the good angel on one side saying, "Don't do it, Charlie," and the devil on the other shoulder saying, "You know you want it. You are the man when you drink. You can drink more and better than anyone. You got this." Then, next thing I know, it was all gone in a flash. The puppet master now controlled my mind, and I would keep going for more and more and more. Then it was get drugs, whatever anyone had for any amount of money, and use it all. I was under the complete control of the devil and didn't even know that I was a puppet. Wow, Charlie, that's deep. Nick, can you relate to those feelings? David, I was also ruled by my drug of choice. When I first realized I had a problem in my mid to late 20s, I admitted to myself that I had a problem, but I believe it was at that time where I was vulnerable and realized that something else was controlling me and I was not controlling me. The puppeteer was the lie that pornography was a place of reality where I could somehow find real satisfaction. But as the song goes, I can't get no satisfaction from that kind of thing. And all these years later, I'm still learning not to objectify women and not to see all women as objects. My mind can go there easily if I don't keep my eyes and my thoughts subject to the Lord's will. So true, Nick. You're seeing the control of the puppeteer and seeing how to break free. Thanks. Eddie, what do you have to say about this? Well, David, for me, it was the cravings. They held the strings, triggered by almost every emotion and situation. No matter how much I tried to do right by my wife, my family, my work, my friends, whether I was at work, at church, or in a restaurant, if the cravings pulled the strings, I would lose all control. I would lose all willpower. They controlled me so badly that I would find myself in places I never imagined I would go, using drugs I normally wouldn't do. losing my self-control, then the strings would release and I would be dropped to the floor like an inanimate puppet, unable to control myself and wait for the next hit, the next move, the next dance, totally controlled by the craving puppeteer. Shaw, that is really well stated, Eddie. Thanks. Guys, I want to thank all of you. I appreciate your openness as you now see how you were a puppet and you understand who held the strings. And for all our listeners, I'd like to close with some of the lyrics to the song I'm Your Puppet by James and Bobby Purify. Listen to these words and think about who's pulling your strings. Pull the string and I'll wink at you. I'm your puppet. I'll do funny things if you want me to. I'm your puppet. I'm yours to have and to hold. Darling, you've got full control of your puppet. Snap your fingers and I'll turn you some flips. I'm your puppet. Your every wish is my command. All you got to do is wiggle your little hand. I'm your puppet. I'm just a toy, just a funny boy that makes you laugh when you're blue. I'll be wonderful. Do just what I'm told. I'll do anything for you. I'm your puppet. Just pull them little strings and I'll sing you a song. I'm your puppet. Make me do right or make me do wrong. I'm your puppet. Treat me good and I'll do anything. I'm just a puppet and you hold my string. I'm your puppet. Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's words from our group. If you would like to join an online group or get one-on-one counseling to help cut the strings to your puppeteer, please message me on the link in this podcast or by email at davidfromatod@gmail.com or go to my website, www.fromatod.org, and click on the contact page. Tune in Monday for our next episode, and as always, stay safe and stay strong.